All right. Hi, everybody. Raiders hold on to beat the Packers in Las Vegas 17-13. Before I get to Tyler Dunne at golongtd.com. Been covering the Packers for a long time. Previously at the Milwaukee Journal, now has his own business. I had a couple of observations. I watched Matt LaFleur, the coach of the Packers. I watch him on the sidelines watching Jordan Love, and it really hit me tonight. He looks like, coach of the Packers looks like, as he watches his young quarterback play, he looks like I did when my kids would pull out of the driveway right after they got their license. I was optimistic, but wasn't going to be surprised if something really bad happened, like a wreck. He doesn't call a game like he has a ton of confidence in Jordan Love. Listen, he's not a tier one guy. He's not going to be Trevor Lawrence, Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, Jalen Hurts. He's not. Get that out of there. Can he be a tier two guy? A Derek Carr, Dak, Cousins? I think it's 50-50. Take out that Bears game, and even in that game, it was pretty choppy for one half. I don't see a lot of special. A very good source close to the Packers, who is very connected to many Green Bay Packer players, had told me he didn't see a lot of juice, a lot of special. If he's a tier two guy, if he's Derek Carr, he's Garoppolo, you can win playoff games surrounded by the right people. You're not going to carry a franchise. That's not the kind of talent he is. He wasn't that in high school. He wasn't that in college. I don't think after 3 years sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, now playing in his fourth year, I don't think he's that kind of talent. He's got the size and he moves well. I don't think he makes great decisions so far. His last interception, two of his interceptions were really bad. I'll give him a little bit of a break at the end of the game because you're trying to make a play downfield. But the truth is, had the Raiders gone for it on 4th and 1 and sealed it up, he wouldn't have gotten the ball back. But there's not a lot to look at for me. Again, Romeo Doubs had a drop on that final drive. Unfortunate, but give me a break. Lamar Jackson, yesterday had a couple of drops in the end zone by his receivers. First couple of weeks, Trevor Lawrence, Jags drop 6-7 balls per game. Mahomes gets balls dropped too. You got to bake that in, right? You got to bake in a few holding calls every game, bake in a few drop passes. That's the reality of NFL football my entire life. So I listen, it's not like he doesn't have the physical ability. He's not Mac Jones. He's not smaller than you'd like and immobile. He moves. The ball comes off pretty quickly. His accuracy is so-so. It's not great. It's so-so, but not terrible. He doesn't look overwhelmed. At times he looks a little uncertain. And again, so much of what is attractive about Brock Purdy is his decision-making. Gets rid of it quick to the right spot. Tua gets rid of it quick to the right spot. Tonight, a Raiders team that doesn't create turnovers got 3 picks. Not great. So the wise guys like the Raiders. I like Green Bay. So did J-Mac. And we were wrong. Let's bring in Ty Dunne at golongtd.com. He's got thoughts live in Buffalo. He wrote a piece this morning on the Bills, Jags, and the Steelers win, so he'll talk about that as well. Let's bring him in. Tyler, I think one of the things I wrote down tonight that concerned me, with Aaron Jones out and not having a ton of success running the ball, at the end of the third quarter, Jordan Love only had 15 attempts and 9 completions. Garoppolo had 18 completions on 27 throws, telling me Josh McDaniels had more confidence in his quarterback than Matt LaFleur had in his. That's what worries me. Again, I'd be okay with 15 throws if Aaron's healthy and Dylan's rolling downhill, but it does look like that they're calling a pretty conservative game with him. Is that fair?
I think so, yeah. It was like they finally took shots. I think Christian Watson had like 2 targets middle of the fourth quarter or something like that.
Yeah, I said this. It reminds me when my kids pulled out of the driveway when they first got their license, like I was hopeful, but if something bad happened, I wouldn't be shocked. Matt LaFleur looks almost uncertain and kind of tentative with him. Again, 15 pass attempts, 9 completions at the end of the third. Listen, two of the picks were bad. The deep ball, he's trying to make something happen. I don't want to be impatient, but one of the things, and it's such a crucial part of playing quarterback, is just quick, decisive decision-making. CJ Stroud has been really good really quickly. And CJ Stroud, game one, got Baltimore. I mean, really quick. See it, let it rip. And the seeing it part, Justin Fields has struggled. Zach Wilson has struggled. CJ Stroud hasn't. Jordan Love feels like a little bit struggling. I can't explain it. Some guys see the field, some guys don't. CJ Stroud's almost been remarkable in his ability. Yeah. I mean, he got not much in camp. Baltimore Ravens opener, defensive coach, first time play caller, get it done, kid. And you can see he sees the field. When you talk to Packers and sometimes anonymously, is what you're seeing surprising, or is this kind of what you were told?
I think they knew there would be growing pains, but didn't it just seem so disjointed? Everything, like the first or second drive, like Matt LaFleur is chewing out Luke Musgrave. You don't have Aaron Jones, which that changes a lot. He's your best player. David Bakhtiari, he's done. Romeo Doubs was invisible for a stretch. Christian Watson had 2 targets in the middle of the fourth quarter. There's drop. Even look at those 2 deep shots too. The one deep shot to Christian Watson, it looked like Watson might have timed it off a little bit, but it hit his fingertips. Right. Love throws it from his 20 to the other 20, and then he just flat out missed Watson on another deep shot. So when you're, to your point, when you're not just hitting receivers in rhythm of the offense and spitting the ball out, you've got to be relying on those big plays. So it's a pretty bad mix when you can't get in rhythm and you're not seeing it quickly and you're not hitting those big plays. It just is like a mess of a game.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I said last week on FS1 or 2 weeks ago. The disturbing thing is, because he hasn't played much, it feels like it takes him a while to get in rhythm. And, some guys are ready to go. Some quarterbacks are very good. Brock Purdy, very good out of the chute. And other quarterbacks, guys that are not as active, they don't. Like, I feel like Jordan's like, he like starts a basketball game and he needed to be on the stationary bike. Like, he needs to be ready to go, and he's out of rhythm, which means he lacks a certain confidence. The other thing that's a little disturbing is when you have an offensive coach, generally speaking, it's an advantage to have extra time. So they didn't play last Thursday. So they had extra time. So, by the way, Detroit had extra time and played yesterday. And how good did their offense look? It was tricks. It was deception. It was physicality. So the Lions and Ben Johnson with extra time, it was a master's class. The Packers had an extra day. They go from a Thursday to a Monday and completely disjointed. And Tyler, with an offensive coach. Now, it's different. Defensive coaches tend to be more motivators. It's about blowing stuff up. Your Tomlins, your Sean McDermott's, extra time may not be as crucial. But for offensive coaches, Andy Reid in September, like, I got extra time and a Monday, and that's it against the Raider team that had struggled to take the ball away. Like, this is the first time, if you're a Packer fan, you kind of come out and you say, this ain't great, right? Like, it's not good.
You've got a plotting A.J. Dillon giving you 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Your top receiver didn't start the season. You're still without Aaron Jones here. It's on the coach, to your point, to scheme some stuff up. And you see it. Like, I don't want to sit here and make excuses. I mean, every team to some extent is dealing with injuries to the offensive line, to their skill position players. I mean, look at the Houston Texans. I mean, they're down 4 starters on the offensive line, but with Bobby Slowick, a Green Bay native himself at offensive coordinator, he's plucked from the Shanahan tree. I mean, everything is in rhythm, and CJ Stroud is seeing it. It's first read, second read, balls out. I don't know what the problem is. I mean, it's probably a combination of LaFleur and the game plan being pretty uninspiring. You've got to just get the ball to a 6'4" fast dude like Christian Watson on a wide receiver screen. Just give Jordan Love an easy completion. Get that body that can move fast, rolling downhill. There was none of that, but Love has to see the field better too. You know, I think he'll get it. I think with reps, with starts, with time, this stuff can be learned because we have seen the Josh Allens and the Jalen Hurtses improve accuracy, start to see the field better with their private quarterback coaches in the offseason, with their NFL coaches during the season. It does take time for some guys, but we have seen that play that you kind of referenced earlier where it's like there's a slant, it's open. Jordan Love seems to be looking at it, but he's just not hitting it. He's holding the ball. He's getting sacked. He's trying to make something happen. You know, Steve Calhoun is his private quarterbacks coach since 8th grade. We had him on our podcast to go long, and I asked him about that play. It was the same thing against Detroit last week, and we saw it against the Vegas Raiders here tonight. And he said, you know, Jordan Love, he's got so much processing in his head pre-snap. He's thinking so much through, and just take your layup. So maybe with more reps, more starts, he starts to make the easy play because they're there. I mean, they are there for the pickings.
Yeah, listen, Garoppolo is now 42-19 as a starter. And when I watched tonight, one of the notes I wrote down was for all the limitations of Garoppolo athletically, and he doesn't throw a great deep ball, Garoppolo very confidently and quickly lets it rip. And he'll throw that ball right on a line, right into traffic. He had a couple of big throws tonight. He's 42-19. And with Jordan, what I see is uncertainty. He's not quite sure. His accuracy's hit and miss, mostly hit, a couple of misses tonight. But I guess my takeaway right now, I said because he sat for 3 years, I'm not giving him 2 years. I'm going to wait until Thanksgiving. I'll have kind of a feel. He's clearly not a tier one guy. Can he be a Derek Carr, a Tua? Can he be a Dak, a Cousins? I'm 50-50 on it. I think physically he's got the tools, but so much of this sport is just seeing, processing. I watched Zach Wilson. You know, his last couple of starts, it's kind of hopeful. But for 2 years, I swear he just couldn't see the field. He just opened stuff, couldn't see it. So you cross your fingers. Jordan Love, Packers lose 17-13. For a limited time, Verizon customers can get Netflix and NFL Plus for just $25 a month. It's called Plus Play. That's $120 in annual savings. Plus Play is a platform where Verizon customers can shop, manage, and save on the subscriptions that you already love, right? Like Netflix and NFL Plus. With NFL Plus Premium, you get access to live games on mobile, my fave, NFL Red Zone, NFL Network, and more. Just go to Verizon.com/plusplay. Verizon.com/plusplay to save on Netflix and NFL Plus today for a limited time only now. Limited time only. The NFL season, it's going strong. And DraftKings Sportsbook hooking new customers up with an offer even stronger. Bet $5, that's it, on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets. How easy is that? And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game this October. Get in on the action. Get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. The code is Colin, Colin. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you just bet $5 on the National Football League. That easy. That's the code Colin, Colin, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Okay, so you're in Buffalo. You wrote a piece on the Bills Jags. And it's interesting because you cover the Steelers' defensive culture, defensive coach, and the Bills similarly. And I've come to terms with what Buffalo is. So defensive teams and defensive cultures tend to be teams that are very emotional. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Seattle. You don't get quite the consistency of game plans. I kind of feel like the Rams offense when Joe Burrow's healthy, Kansas City, I kind of get the same thing. It's an offensive coach. It's choreographed. When I watch these defensive teams, and Buffalo and Pittsburgh come to mind, it just depends on the Sunday. Pittsburgh has been awful or very good. Buffalo's been tremendous or a mess. And I almost think that now is Buffalo's brand, is that I've always said they have the Tyson quality. If they're fighting downhill, if they make the guy wobble early, it's over. They have got an ability to bury you. But Buffalo from behind, Josh Allen struggles. It's overseas. They're out of sync. Like, it just had a feel. The whole game had a feel like we want to be home. This doesn't feel, I mean, that's how it felt for me. You covered it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, he spent a lot of time over the offseason planning out this trip, right? Consulting with the sports science experts and how does the body clock work? How are you going to adjust to London time? And I believe they flew out Thursday night and woke up for a Friday practice, and they looked like a team sleepwalking on Sunday. I mean, they looked like a team that was completely jet lagged, that wasn't ready, like the Jacksonville Jaguars were, a team that was there, right, the game before and has been playing out there for 12, 13 years. So that's a factor, but it's also an excuse. Like they've got to win that game. And there's enough blame to go around. We're going to see how much metal Sean McDermott really has as a defensive mind when you don't have Tre'Davious White, you don't have Matt Milano. I think next to Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, Milano has been the most indispensable player on that roster. Just people here in Western New York have been praising Sean McDermott for nature, and Leslie Frazier was too passive, and he was sitting DBs back. Well, if you think that Sean McDermott didn't have anything to do with the defense the last 7 years, well, there's some real estate for you in Antarctica to buy. He did. But that was the change. He's more aggressive. What happened at the end of that game? Trevor Lawrence sees that Micah Hyde, an aging safety, is one-on-one with Calvin Ridley in the slot, just gives him a signal, sends him up the sideline, burns him 31, 32 yards, game over. So, that aggressiveness, it can be a good thing, but against these elite quarterbacks, it can come back to bite you. And it did in that game. So now McDermott doesn't have some studs on defense. They've got no running game. They had 15 yards rushing from their running backs, non-existent.
This is 6 years now of no running game. Like, at some point, this is again, McVay, Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, offensive coaches. They don't go 6 years without a run game, right? Like, Pittsburgh, how many years no run game? Buffalo, how many years no run game? By the way, Dante Scarnecchia left for New England. Now Bill Belichick. They've got no run game. Like, I think this is not, I don't believe in coincidences. The top rated O-lines in the NFL are virtually all offensive coaches. And I want to pivot to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 3-2, which is, they feel 1-4. Like, the fan base is unhappy. One of the things that really jumps out to me, I was told for years they didn't like drafting University of Pittsburgh kids because if they didn't make it, they'd have to get rid of them, and they share facility. Right? Pittsburgh, the Rooneys are just embedded in that community, and they didn't want to draft Pittsburgh kids and cut them or trade them. They're going to keep Kenny Pickett around for years. They're not going to bail on Kenny Pickett, a first-round quarterback. They're not going to do it to that kid. And I got to tell you, Ty, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I think there was an era where you could play great defense and hit one or two big throws over the top. I just don't think this is the era. I think that's a 9-win team. Let's be honest. Their defense will win 8 games. It will overwhelm bad quarterbacks, right? Like, it's like San Francisco. It's just going to overwhelm Josh Dobbs. There's just some guys you have to be special. Dak got overwhelmed yesterday by the Niners defense. So Pittsburgh's going to have a winning record. But you cover this team. You know the personnel, like, in the building. Do you think they think Kenny Pickett's the guy? 6 years, no run game.
I kind of love Kenny Pickett.
You do.
I think there's something to a quarterback who just, when everything's on the line, steps up to that moment, like, wants that moment, even if everything was going wrong. In that Baltimore game, everything was going wrong. I mean,
Right.
the fire Canada chants were so loud. Somebody in the stadium put this out there on X that the team pivoted to like a military tribute, almost to just try to shut everybody up. It was that bad, and justifiably so. I mean, they just can't really function on offense for stretches. And Kenny Pickett looked bad. Aaron throws, not really finding George Pickens, who's a freak. But give him this, when he had an opportunity late, and he did it at Pitt time and time again. He had an opportunity similar to Trevor Lawrence when he spotted Micah Hyde one-on-one with Calvin Ridley. They see Marlon Humphrey one-on-one over George Pickens. The Ravens are expecting them just to try to inch their way in the field goal range, gives them the audible, sends them deep, delivers. So I feel like there's quarterbacks who have that, and there's quarterbacks who shrivel in that moment. Those primetime records for the Kirk Cousins and the Daniel Jones, I think there's something to that. Yes. So some quarterbacks, they want that moment, being around him, people close to him. He genuinely wants it. And I think he does have the ability to raise his own ceiling. Now, is the play calling going to get in his way? The play design going to get in his way? My God, get the ball to Jaylen Warren. I don't know why he isn't featured more often.
I know it.
So they've got a bye week. It comes at a good time. They're in first place. And I'm a Mike Tomlin apologist. I just feel like at what he has built there, it weeds out the weak. It's true attrition. They've got players built for December that they could be 3-7, 4. They're going to find a way to get to 500. To your point, can they be more than that? Can they be more than an 8-win team, a 9-win team? I think that the Pickens connection alone can get you there. I think this could be special.
One more thing I want to address. You do a podcast with Brett Favre, and you had a conversation about Brock Purdy. Now, I mean, nobody would deny that Kyle Shanahan and those weapons are a humongous advantage. I mean, let's be honest. If Dak was on the Niners with Dak's contract, you couldn't have afforded Christian McCaffrey or Fred Warner or probably one of your pass rushers. It would not be the same team. What makes this truly special is you can miss on a Trey Lance because when you hit on the last guy in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, he's a free quarterback for 4 years. He's literally free. And so you have 2 Pro Bowl linebackers. And I mean, it's incredible. Brandon Ayuk has become a 1. So it's Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, Christian. It's insane. So I have, whereas Dak Prescott, I've seen him with a great O-line, a deteriorating O-line. I've seen him with Zeke and now just Tony Pollard. I've seen him with Amari and Gallup. And now I've seen him with CeeDee Lamb. I've seen him, a Dak with Dalton Schultz and CeeDee Lamb. And now I just see him with CeeDee Lamb you can roll the coverage over. I don't think it's a great supporting cast. I think they're weak at tight end. I think they're okay at running back. The O-line's good. It's not special. But with Brock Purdy, I've only seen him with a great coach and great weapons. My guess is he's a good quarterback. He's in the B class, maybe a B-. But Favre, I mean, what does he say? What does he see?
Yeah. He loves Brock Purdy, and he brought up a conversation. He talks to Ron Wolf about twice a month still. Obviously, the Hall of Fame general manager who traded for Brett Favre when everybody thought he was Packers were nuts. You're giving a first-round pickup for getting his way out of Atlanta. And Brett told some stories from those days too. It was rough. I mean, he knows he could have been a never was with how he was living. But Ron Wolf traded for Brett Favre, and Favre failed his physical. They told him, with this condition he had, that he'll be out of the league in 3 years. And Ron Wolf didn't care. He traded for him, wanted him because he just saw an it factor to him.
Right.
He knew he was a winner. He knew guys would rally around him, want to play for him, want to fight for him. And watching Brock Purdy, Brett sees the same kind of stuff. That guys just they elevate their play for him. And it's always hard to put your finger on it because it can sound cliche and corny, but it matters in pro football. I mean, there are quarterbacks, and Brett has said this too, in the NFL when he played and today, guys don't want to run through a wall for you. I mean, they might say nice things about you in the press, but when it's the fourth quarter and they don't give that little extra, is the way Brett put it. He thinks those 49ers are giving a little something extra for Brock Purdy. And didn't you see that right away in that Miami game? I mean, when he took over for Garoppolo and they're playing Mike McDaniel's offense and they got to have it, boy, everybody just elevated their play for this guy. And he can hit every throw. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is telling him exactly where to throw the ball before the play. Yeah. He's making those throws. And there is a skill, like what he lacks in size and athleticism and arm strength and all of that. Similar to Tua, he just places that ball in stride to these receivers. Right. They don't break stride. It's like handing a baton in a 4x1. They just keep moving. And as long as he's doing that in this NFC, why can't it win a Super Bowl? Why not?
Well, the other advantage is he was a multiple year starter in high school, a 4-year starter in college. He's got 7-8 years of starting, right? That's a lot of snaps. I mean, Kyler Murray comes out one big year. Yeah. A lot of these guys, that's Kenny Pickett's advantage. He played in the same stadium. He started for years. So, generally the feeling is if you're great, you come out early. I didn't think, one GM told me Kenny Pickett, he felt like he was a top of the third quarterback, but Kenny had so many reps. He got the advantage of a great culture, the Steelers, same stadium, just the other side of the locker room. And so I think Kenny Pickett feels fairly comfortable. And when I watch Brock Purdy, that's the word I would use. He feels comfortable. He's taken a ton of snaps. I mean, God, I felt bad for Trey Lance. Trey Lance barely played in college, then the COVID year, then he gets hurt. I mean, the guy barely took snaps in a 3-year period. It's like Jordan Love now. I don't see a lot of special. I was told during camp by somebody who I trust that he was fine. There wasn't a lot of wow there. That's kind of what I see. But let's be honest, like Trey Lance and Jordan Love, they just haven't played games. And so I do feel like as we pivot back to Jordan Love and wrap it up, I just want to see, I said, give me about 10 games. Like, give me to Thanksgiving. The physical parts are there. That's the good. I mean, I watched Mac Jones. Like, he's slow. He doesn't really have a second gear. He's not a power thrower. Like with Mac, it's like white flag. Like it just feels like it's over. Zach Wilson, I don't think he sees the field particularly well. Even though he's 6'2", he feels small, plays hero ball. I don't think any of that stuff with Jordan Love. I just think I think it takes him a long time to get into rhythm. That's what I see.
I totally agree. I mean, he can do the arm angle stuff. Like the play before one of the interceptions, he kind of sidearms it to Musgrave. And it's just so up and down. The very next play, the Raiders go to quarter coverage. Marcus Peters just sits on the route and Love throws it into traffic. It's tipped. It's picked. This is the kind of stuff you learn with more action. He hasn't played for 3 years, right? You can simulate as much as you can with the Steve Calhoun in California, offseason, do the same thing with Matt LaFleur and go to OTAs when Aaron Rodgers isn't there. You can do all that stuff, but there's no substitute for the live bullets. He's getting it, and it's going to be fun. I think Green Bay is just frustrating for Matt LaFleur to not have Aaron Jones and now to not have David Bakhtiari. They're clearly hindered around Jordan Love, but like I said, it's no excuse. You've got to find a way to function and excel and make the plays in the fourth quarter. I do think that Jordan Love will make enough plays in those fourth quarters to give you that hope in Thanksgiving, right? I think he'll have these moments like he had in that fourth quarter against the Saints that suggest he's got the mental toughness. He's got that stuff that you can't learn and you can't teach, and they can kind of work around that over time.
Well, they get, you start looking at their schedule. I'm looking here. Who did they play next? Because I have the Broncos on the 22nd at Denver, winnable game. Then they get the Vikings at home and the Rams at home. So, okay, here they go. So it's Broncos on the road, winnable game. Vikings at home, Rams at home, Steelers on the road. Those are winnable games. You face Kenny Pickett. You get Matt Stafford and a young Rams defense at home, Kirk Cousins at home, and right now a mess in Denver. So, I mean, listen, the schedule it's not daunting. There's some young quarterbacks, young teams, Rams, teams struggling Broncos. This is the time. You would hope tonight with extra time, this felt like a W to me. So it's really discouraging. You don't beat a Raider franchise that's always 1 second from turbulence and chaos. But that's where we stand. I think, I guess my takeaway on tonight is I still don't know. I thought it was a game on the schedule you should win. Coming off the Thursday game, watching Detroit off a Thursday be so fluid, watching the Packers so disjointed, that to me feels discouraging.
Especially when Josh McDaniels is doing everything in his power to hand you a game on a silver platter. Just go for it. 4th and short. Just go for it. Why are you kicking that field goal?
Yeah, it is crazy. Analytics said go for it. And the other thing I thought about is, again, it was almost Josh McDaniels saying Max Crosby's getting great pressure, and I don't think Jordan Love can beat us. That's what it said to me.
That might have been it.
You don't do it with Herbert, Lawrence, Mahomes. You don't. But my takeaway was, hey, if we miss the field goal, Crosby's getting pressure. Jordan Love, he doesn't have a lot of experience on the road, late game, driving for a touchdown. I think you make decisions in those situations a lot of times based on who's the quarterback. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. He's like, I don't think Jordan Love can beat me. 2 picks.
Yeah.
You know,
hard to argue with that because he had the results.
Yep. All right, Ty, good seeing you. As always, I want to give you a pump up again. GoLongTD.com, his newsletter, GoLongTD.com, has the podcast with Brett Favre as well. As always, it's great seeing you.
Thanks so much, Colin. Always love chatting.
You bet.